Excuse me, 1 second. I have a technical difficulty. And we're back. Sorry, my display disconnected, but here we are after technical difficulties. Welcome to yet another episode of Disruption Talks, where we discuss with top experts digital acceleration, winning strategies, innovation, and scaling products. Joining us today is Axel Thibon, the CEO and founder at Wizest. Axel, I watched another public speaking event of yours, and that's the way that the other host pronounced it. So I hope Axel Thibon is the right way to pronounce it.
It's good. It's good.
Great to have you here. So, usually we want to make sure that the audience knows who Axel is, especially that we've got Axel, whom I've seen on LinkedIn, triple time SVP. Essentially, you must have an idea what you're doing in the world of fintech with such a huge amount of experience in the world. So, I'd love to hear more about the story of becoming the Axel Thibon, the founder of Wizest.
Yes. So at the end of the day, it's I would say something that is very topical. Which is I'm maybe not a typical founder, but I don't think there is any typical founder anywhere. And yes, I have like some previous experience. So yes, I'm not like the founders that everybody imagined like in their 20s. I'm more like in my 40s, I would say. But that and when we look at the statistics, it's most of the founders now are like with some experience, so it's not something strange. and I think that the experience that I had like allow me to understand and to discover the problems that exist and that we can maybe solve, and then like along with my I would say affinity with like trying to build things and build solutions. That was like the way to at some point in my career to get the confidence and also the impulse to jump and to become like a founder. So that's a little bit the why in terms of like the who I am. Like I'm speaking to you from like the US, from Cleveland, Ohio today, but like I'm from France originally, so I had like different lives before becoming like the founder of Wizest. I started like as like a mechanical engineer working in the automotive sector back in Europe. Worked like in the first like mass-produced EV, the Nissan Leaf, like as part of the design team that worked on it, like in Renault Nissan. But then like after that, like came to the US and switched to finance after doing my MBA. And so that's where I had like this like experience of like working on the strategy of the banks. Acquiring and integrating other institutions, managing digital banks, and even building one from scratch for like a bigger bank before doing Wizest. And all this experience, I would say, have been the trigger to be able to try to do something on my end and to find a solution to a problem that I had myself with investing.
Interesting to hear that you would say that you had the problem. I would love to hear more. I would assume that it's a problem that you've seen, but did you have the problem yourself? Is this a problem that you're solving for yourself as well?
Yes, I had, and the thing that like as I just mentioned before, like I am not a finance guy by training. I am like a mechanical engineer originally, and so when I start my career as like an engineer, starting I would say making some decent money with my salary and decided, hey, I need to build wealth for my future and to think about like maybe the retirement at some point and prepare that. And so investing is one of the way to do it in the stock market. And I said like, let's do it. But then I said, what do I do? I have no training. If I go to a solution like Robinhood or like similar e-trading platforms, I don't know what to buy or what to sell. I'm going to screw up. And if I go to my bank to ask for advice and to help me, I don't have enough money for them to give me like someone that will help me to provide me a financial advisor. So I was like, hey, what are the solutions to start? There is nothing. And there is like the only thing that were left were like passive tools like like today it will be like Acorns, Wealthfront, which basically it's a robo advising platform where you enter a few questions and the platform gives you like a portfolio that fits your profile, but like it's a black box. So as someone that likes to understand what I'm doing and have some control and like also transparency, it was a little bit like a challenge. So again, there was no solutions for my issue and at the time, and so I think that idea I had that in mind like through the years, and after finding some ways to do it, having worked in finance and in banking, that's when I decided to try to address it, and also through the process I saw that it was not only me. I was not the weird people, the weird person. It was like something that was shared by a lot of people.
That's interesting to hear. That's really interesting to hear. You always, as the founder, have to be sort of on the lookout if you're not just solving your own problem. But here I understand, and as evidenced by everything concerning Wizest, this is a, I don't want to say a widespread problem, much rather a broad area for improvement, right? Because not everybody has to do it. When they do it, they should do it right. You solve those problems. You decided to solve them, then being yourself as well. So can you tell me about the day you said, this is my last day, I'm starting Wisest. So the story of Wisest right now, we get the story of Axel, let's get the story of Wisest.
Yeah, so the story of Wizest, it's not like I would say one day that the decision is taken. I would say like the idea and the solution of Wizest has been like growing in me, like and being refined. Also, like speaking with friends and colleagues around me, and so that was like when I was working banking and validating also this idea with like people from the area of like financial advice and so it has been a process of like maybe a year or so to have all this validation, and then it has been also personal circumstances like of also like moving from one city to another. I was living in Miami, and I happened to move to Cleveland, in Ohio, and at the time I say, hey, I need to decide like if I want to continue to do the similar thing and to continue to with my career as it is today, or if I take this opportunity and of the move and try something else. And so that's the decision I took. I say, if I don't do it now, I maybe will not do it ever. So let's try to do it. And so that was like a combination of the two, of having the idea, the validation, and then on the other side, like I would say the opportunity or the impulse to do it.
So now all we're missing is between the company being started and right now. How is Wisest doing? What has Wisest achieved? If you could
Yes. So in terms of the what has achieved and the story of the company, and after we can also jump into the product itself, what we did with Wizest. So in terms of the company, it has been like an interesting journey because we started like just at the same time as the pandemic started. So it added like some I would say intensity and challenge to the journey. But like I've been like focusing at first on building the team, the core team, so the founding people. So because I'm not only the only founder. We are like 4 co-founders. Then like one of the third thing I've been doing is like, as it is like a financial solution, and finance is an industry that is like heavily regulated. I would say after like the healthcare, the health industry is like maybe the second one most regulated. And so one thing that I wanted to make sure is that before starting building something and wasting time, let's make sure that what I have in mind is also like compliant with the regulations, and that it will work, and and that nobody will shut it down. So that was the first thing that we did, and then we started building the solution with like I would say a beta version, a simulation version, to be able to then go to the investors and also to find some advisors to add to our board to help us and guide us to go from there. And so that has been the process. I would say the first year was like the team and and the regulations. The 2021 was more about like getting the advisors on board and building the product to make sure that we were doing the right thing. And then this year, at the beginning of the year, was like getting the capital, so getting the money from investors and VCs, and now like pushing the product live. And as we speak today, we are on the verge in the next few days to go live, which is like super exciting.
Congratulations. Glad to have a platform like this interview to mention this to people. Hopefully everybody watching can, do a Google search in a couple of days. You got a specific date?
So we are like now like preparing the push to the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. So it's gonna depend on how Apple and Google are gonna react as we do the first push. But as soon as we have visibility from them, then we will announce like the date, the official date. And in the meantime, I would say we are open for business, as we say, meaning that everybody can go to our website, to our social media pages, and sign up to be in the waiting list. Or to get like to be aware of what is happening with like our newsletters. So this way, nobody will lose like the opportunity when we go live.
Follow Wizest on LinkedIn now. So described by Forbes as far more authentic than Robinhood will ever be. It's the next generation investment trading platform. And now here, that is a heavy homework assignment that Forbes has put on you, because
Yes.
I'd like to hear you that, yes, I agree with the bold statement. I'm saying bold because it's not a matter of merit between the two companies, but Robinhood's been around. Robinhood got properly funded. They've had those ups, they've had the downs, they've been put in the public eye. The case of Citadel and Wall Street bets and everything. So the PR that might not have been of the greatest kind, but still, they're a player that already exists, right?
Exactly.
So you are the new one. So like I said, back it up for me. I'm sure
Yeah, no, and I would say like Robinhood have done something that is fantastic for the industry, and that like kudos to them because they were the one that were able to provide access to trading for any one of us, like with like their free trading, I would say, policy that made trading with also fractional shares accessible to everyone. So that's fantastic. But having, I would say, a car doesn't mean that you know how to drive. so, so, so I think that now what like companies like Wizest are trying to do is to get to the next step, to what is missing at the end of the day for the general public, and it's about like I would say what we do with Wizest is, and that's where maybe the authenticity that like that for the article of what Forbes was mentioning, it's providing the whole package, not just a tool. Meaning that and doing again an analogy is like having the learner's permit when you learn how to drive, when you have to spend when you spend the first like year or two with an adult on your side, but you are still the one with the steering wheel, but you are not alone. You have someone that is like guiding you, explaining you, providing you like a experience of what happened when driving, and so this allows like I would say the learner to be a better driver and to have less accidents. And so we apply the same policy with Wise. It's like let's have in Wisest not people do everything by themselves, but I've give them access to financial experts that are in the platform, and so this way they can look at these people in the same way as they look at people in LinkedIn or Instagram or in Facebook, like role models or influencers, and say, hey, this is a good fit for me, and I want to follow this person. And what Wise is going to do is like allow you to replicate automatically, I would say, the strategy and the portfolio of this expert that you choose to follow. And so this way you will manage your portfolio by managing, I would say, a team of experts, almost like your fantasy football team, instead of managing like the mutual fund XYZ or the ETF ABC. That could be something very abstract for a novice investor, or someone that is not like very I would say, sophisticated with investing.
I would say that even if it's not it could be a sophisticated investor who just wants to save time on some bets that don't
Sure.
require that thinking, or even they could be a sophisticated investor and they could personally know uh, your expert on the other side, right? The chances are that as well. So I see what you're saying. I'm sold on the answer. Homework approved, A star. But you're absolutely right in the matter of Robinhood having been there in the agency of paving the way, so to say, right?
For
Because
sure.
if it wasn't for even the scandal that I mentioned, many people would not have known about Robinhood. And even though Robinhood is a US only app, even the people outside of the US know about Robinhood as much as they might not know about DoorDash or Grubhub. So not only did Robinhood allow a lot of people to just get interested in the topic, I'm not saying educated, but get interested in the topic.
Mhm.
So definitely there's that change. And I've got a question from the comments from Radek, which concerns the fact that it hasn't changed over 10 years, it being the percentage of adults in the US investing money. So the question reads: the data from the US market shows that the share of adults investing money has been the same in the past years,
Mhm.
56% in 2021 and the same percentage in 2010. What's your recipe for changing that? Is there a recipe? If you know why hasn't it changed, I would imagine that it would move even just a little. But here
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand
And and
your
and and
thoughts too.
I have my own little diagnostic, and I can share that with you
Please.
and Radek. Is I think that, like, at the end of the day, uh, the solution that we have today in the market are maybe evolutions of what was already existing for the last 50 years. I mean, like, having something that was done like manually but done digitally, but there is not like a real change of, like, of how investing is done. So it's still like doing trading with, like, solutions like Robinhood, but before it was like calling over the phone to your to your banker to be able to do the trade, and it's about, like, having someone to do it for you, and you rely on this person, and it could be like a real human, or it could be like a robot today,
Yeah.
and so that limits, I would say, the market to people that are willing to take risk and take their that by themselves. They do it. The people that have this do-it-yourself mentality, so they will do the trading themselves. Or the people that wants this passive approach, like, hey, here is my money, manage it for me. But, like, all the people that are in the middle, that are like, I want to have some to be able to do something with someone, or to be to have like this do it with me mentality. That's where there is a gap in the market today. And that's where I think that most of the people that do not jump into investing yet, so the 45 or 50% that are not investing, it's because they don't know where to start. They feel all alone, or they feel like facing something where they have to trust, and they don't know if they can trust. uh, uh, and it's difficult also to rely on, like, a robo algorithm, or like a one financial advisor from a bank say, hey, I want to put all my eggs in one basket there. So this is where, like, the I think the limits make why people are not investing too much today. And then, like, with this new approach that we have, which is more like, hey, let's do that together. Let's have, like, experts to give you some hand holding, but, like, being transparent. It's not a black box anymore. We want to explain what is happening, because the expert that you are going to follow in Wizest have to explain their moves, have to comment on the news, and what is happening in the market. So this way there is an interaction with the end user. And what we saw in the beta version of Wizest, so in our testings, is that versus what is happening with traditional applications and solutions, where we have like 75% of users that are male. With Wizest, we saw like a 50% women and 50% men signing up for Wizest. So we see that with our philosophy and our approach, we're able to have much more inclusion and have much more women also interested in investing, because of this human layer and this, like, this do it with me approach that we have. So we think that we have a little recipe to improve this percentage that Radek is mentioning.
Okay. right? Hope that answered your question. If it didn't, let us know in the comments. So, speaking of the current conditions, comparing statistics, percentages, we are looking at an interesting time. We've had COVID, we're having the war, we're having the energy crisis, we're having a lot of that reflected in what is happening in the stock market, from currencies to tech companies. Everything really is at least not as stable. So, what would be your advice for other founders? Because I spoke of very broad terms, but all of those trickle down into what we're seeing on LinkedIn of this company laying off, this company rescinding offers, those people getting a down round, or uh,
Mhm.
plenty of things. So, advice for other founders other than a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. I need you to repeat.
And I would say like I would say downturns, good times will always be there and alternate. So I think like it's not a good thing to try to time what is happening in the in the market or in the economy or in the world, because at the end of it, it's a short term thinking and taking a lot of risks. Uh, so I think that the way I see things as like I would say the founder of Wizest, but also as like an investor and a father. Like I think everything needs to be like consistency and persistency, like and think about long term and about like what the compounding effect of what you do over time can do in terms of benefits for the company, for you as an investor, and for you when you have kids and help them to grow up. So I think people on the founding side and again like we went through the pandemic. It has been like almost a 3-year journey to get where we are. So it's not like there is no magic one like and like the success is happening overnight. So I think what we need to focus as a founder is like, yeah, what is the reason why I built Wisest or I built this company? What is my mission and what is my vision? And then like when there is like difficult times, but and where there isn't difficult times, it's also like being responsible with spending, because like I would say when you have some capital as a founder, uh, runway is key. So
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I imagine, listen, dear audience, if Axel decided to start this around the times of COVID or didn't back out when it was COVID, we've been through economic downturns. I don't think we have been in recent times as much as 2008 when it was the last economic
mhm.
recession, in a state of canceling all travels between continents, mask stopping of a lot of economic activity. So if Axel made it through this, you all founders have got this right now. I'm absolutely sure. Um, but did it make you think differently about the future of Wisest? Did you have to adjust some things, seeing the recent times, or I'm not necessarily saying pivot in terms of the usual pivot, but much rather
Yes.
say this is
Yes,
coming.
I would be a fool if I wouldn't adjust to what is happening around me. So yes, obviously, like with like for example with the, the the inflation that we are seeing everywhere, like and maybe like if someone is losing his or her job, you always have to adjust what you do. So it's like and the adjustment is like being very cautious with your expenses. And I would say like in Wisest, like what happened this year when we got our funding, like with like the VCs and other investors. Uh, First, we took a little bit more money than what we were anticipating to take at the beginning, because we said, hey, let's get some cushion because we never know, even if it's going to dilute a little bit more than what we would have wished in terms of like I would say equity. So that's one aspect. And then like since then is like uh, in terms of each hiring that we have planned, like do we really need it? Can there is there like a plan B, another alternative? So this way we don't have to do it right now, maybe, and we can save some money in terms of expenses. Like looking at everything, because at the end of the day, like 10 cents plus 10 cents plus 10 cents plus 10 cents sum up to a significant sum. So and then like obviously in my model, when I prepare like the projections for Wizest, I built in some cushion. So I was not like always like at the edge of like at the limit of everything. I built in some cushion. So now the objective for this year for Wizest was to, let's see how we can increase the runway we have with the money we have to get more time to achieve our goals. If we get our goals as we thought, like when we did the first planning, fantastic. But if it takes more time, we have this cushion. So again, it's like we are going through like times that are more challenging. So yes, we have to adjust a little bit, obviously.
We could probably reuse parts of this show as a quick crash course for founders in 2022. You are sharing some wise advice over here, not only as an interview but also in general, for anybody who's watching to not be afraid, basically, and figure out a way and understand what's going to be your North Star. And speaking of North Stars, we have a question in the comments from Dominica. We're going to have it on the screen now. It says, looking for the North Star of Wizest. Do you have any number of users to achieve in the next 1-2 years? And I'm also guessing that number, if you have that number, I'm assuming you do, is tied to what it means, because just having users for the
Exactly. So yes, yes, and yes, we have we have a number, and there is also a reason why this number. So at the end of the day, like what we would like to achieve by the end of like 2023 would be to reach like around like 12 to 15,000 users or investors, retail investors in Wizest. And so why this number? Because like there is two objectives that we want to achieve like for between now and the end of next year. One is to get a few users on board, like a few clients, to be able to see what they like, what they don't like, what do they want for in terms of evolution, to be able to build our roadmap and the priorities for next developments for the product. So for that, we don't need to have like a million users. So that's why also like we didn't go with like a crazy number of users. So we said let's focus on having maybe a limited number of users, but what we can mine a lot from them and learn from them a lot. And the second aspect of also that is because another focus of us is to see how we can reach these users. So it's not more than the number; it's also like the more than the quantity is also the quality. Okay, so how we can reach to them and who are these users, and how we can reach to them is like we are launching now as a solution, a B2C solution, but we are also like going to announce like shortly like a couple of partnerships which are like B2B and B2B2C partnerships. So to offer Wizest through other institutions, other like financial institutions that will offer Wizest as like a co-branded product for them, or with like any companies, any corporation that wants to offer Wizest as a benefit for their employees, as part of like a benefit program for their employees. So having these B2B2C strategies, we will see what is working well for Wizest. So next year is an experimentation year to see what the users want and how we can reach to them the most efficient way. And with this conclusion that we will have from next year, we will it would be the guide for us to get like the next round of funding, and how we grow the company, and how fast and how we accelerate the company. So that's why that's the explanation about the numbers.
Okay, I've got some tough questions coming as well. Thank you, Dominica. I wanted to ask. I'm just thinking if this is the order in which I want to ask. What makes you? What would be a thing that would challenge? Because you're speaking a lot about adaptability, about being able to persevere. If I'm not guesstimating correctly, someone becomes a user of yours, someone fits your user persona as soon as have disposable income. Like that's the minimum requirements. Let's
Mhm.
put education aside and all of that. So if we were to say that the amounts of people with disposable income or disposable income in itself would be simply diminishing, that still doesn't impact Wisest per se, because if I understand correctly, you don't perform on like a management fee basis, but much rather on a subscription that you simply pay, right?
Yes, yes. The model for Wisest, and that is a result from the beta test we did last year with like the first version of the product, and the beta users and the people that we have like still in the waiting list. So we have like around like 3,000 people now in the waiting list, and this is what they told us: like we want to have a peace of mind. So we don't want to see like what we're paying for Wisest changing every month because of the what is happening in terms of the trades or like the amount of money they have in the account. So I want to make sure that it's the same amount every month. So it's helped me with my own personal budgeting, and so that's why we went with this subscription model where we have like two flavors of Wisest, which is like the basic Wisest, which is a $10 a month, and then the full Wisest, which is a $20 a month. And so that's that. With that, you have access basically to get into the platform, to browse like the different experts, to follow whoever you want to follow, to have an account, and to have the money held in this account with insurance, and to have like also like the trades happening in these accounts. Everything is included, so there is no additional fee, no hidden fees. So that's how it works.
I mean, listen, and note for everybody who are watching and listening, Axel, you specifically, this is an idea for which I would love a strategic advisory position if it ever comes to life. I see space for a social network with what you're doing, basically. Not
Yes.
sure what you think, but when you say that you have, when you bring in the element of influencers already,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's when you are basically giving something the users to come on site for. You bring them in with the tool, but you make them stay with the community that just keeps on growing and perhaps starts giving birth to more and more experts, taking it off from your back to be able to source those experts. Or maybe you're going to tell me why it's a terrible idea because I already thought of that and tested it and it didn't work.
No, and you're right. I think that at the end of the day, what we're also doing with Wisest is we are leveraging, I would say, a consumer behavior that exists outside of finance, which is like following influencers. And here we said let's apply the same behavior that people have with investing, where like the influencers will be the experts, like the financial advisors of portfolio managers that want to be part of the expert side of the platform of Wisest, being the influencers, and then like the public being the people that follow these influencers. And so here that's and we built also the incentives on to make sure that everything is aligned. So meaning that the experts are not compensated as like the typical experts today in the market. They are not receiving just a portion of the money that they are like managing, quote unquote. No, because that is not working anymore. They would make money whatever happens. If the market drops, if the market go up, so that's not logical. And so what we do is like the way that experts are compensated is by the number of followers they have, so for their popularity. And then we looked at like two main factors. One is like the the reviews from the users, because each user will do a review of the people they are following, like you review your purchase in Amazon. So the more stars you will have as an expert, the better you will be compensated. So this is linked with like the fact that you are explaining well what you do, that you are giving comments on what is happening in the market, and that you are interacting with your followers. And then like the last aspect is like the level of risk of the portfolio that the expert are sharing. And here what we say is like the higher the risk of the portfolio, the lower the compensation, because we don't want experts to provide like crazy risky portfolios. That's not the objective. The objective for Wizest is like to build wealth for your future. So it's the idea is to find the best balance between risk and return. And so the expert that will be able to achieve good results with the less possible level of risk are going to be the best ones. So that's like that's how we make things work, leveraging this like influency logic.
I love the incentivization in the correct way. I love when a product just makes sense. Mm, so you say it's per follower, but follower means I follow and thus some money has gone through Wisest, or is it just a non-committing follow?
Yeah. So if it's a non-commit follow, there will be no, I would say, incentive given to the expert. But if there is a follow with like I would say, I don't know, $1,000 or $2,000 following this expert, then yes, at this point it triggers like the compensation.
I was just curious. So coming back to the fact that Robinhood opened up a lot of doors and sometimes went in with dirty shoes, but still the doors were open. But we also had the statistic. How can we like what do we just put financial educations in elementary school and that's it, or we introduce something like you have in the US, like a 401k as a more global standard? How do we make sure that people, leave school knowing that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, but also, of course, knowing things about your trajectory of earnings will look like this. You should be starting saving like this. This is what compound interest is. Not just in the interest of driving users to Wisest and Webull and Robinhood and everybody in the world, but in the interest of simply, it's a smarter financially society has 1,000 benefits that we could list for hours. So how do we make it more accessible, and not just accessible because access is one thing, but encouragement and active achievement of that goal is another?
Yeah. So when you say how we make more accessible, and you refer before like to the education piece, I think it's the education piece is key, and that's also why like in Wisest, as we have these real human experts, they also are explaining what they do and explaining what is happening in the market, and so all this like content that is created here is like a very nice education piece that is provided to all the users, and they can start from zero. It could be like it's almost like having this 101 about investing without having to read like a 500-page book about about investing, or listening like I would say like hours long like webinars or trainings about investing. So here is like one thing that is we think that is another differentiator for Wizest, like this educational component is there, and obviously this is something that that needs to be given like through solutions like us, but like not only like as you mentioned before, like the education at school. I think it's key also to have like some financial education, some basics at school. So that's it's a whole package, and we're trying to build our little stone to the building.
One idea that just came to my mind, I couldn't find what company it was, but there was one company that decided to host its earnings call this year on Twitter Spaces, and they use a popular Instagram Liquidity as a moderator,
Mhm.
financial category kind of memes. So I'm also thinking, just like you said, you don't want to come to webinars because you don't want to necessarily be doing the math, but sometimes if someone says, here's the result and here's the math behind the result, that could be interesting for me as a user. So if I could have a quarterly earnings call with the panel of my experts telling me what happened and why in simple terms, you not only get my attention, but you get a smarter user. So I'm
Exactly.
really pushing on this social aspect. So mm, so we've had enough talk about problems. Most promising opportunities ahead of Wisest. Let's do away with the crisis talk now for some.
I would say that the opportunities for Wisest are like first to capture the audience that we mentioned, like being much more inclusive, because it's something that we discovered during our beta phase, and we clearly saw that we were attracting any type of users. So not only the typical male that is already playing with investing and trading. We think that here with our approach, with this human layer, with these experts and this do it with me approach, that there is an edge there where it's much more inclusive from a gender perspective, but also from a minority perspective, to be able to provide this level of transparency, trust, and on the users to jump and to start investing. So that's that's one opportunity is on the user side. On the other opportunity is on how we get to these users, and it's all these partnerships, and the partnerships are to be able to get Wizest through banks, through credit unions that would put Wizest as an entry level wealth management or investing solutions for people that have maybe a lot of money in their saving accounts, but they do not qualify yet for wealth management service. And so here in the middle we have this Wizest solution, and so that could help also all these institutions in terms of banks, credit unions, also to cross sell more products to their clients or members, and to make sure that these clients are not going away and not going to other institutions. So that's a way to help all these banks and the other partnerships are what I mentioned before, on the benefit side. I think today employers, at least in the US, are struggling to retain people because there is less than 4% unemployment. So people are switching from one employer to another employer, and the salaries levels are increasing, and it's difficult to recruit people and to retain people. So with a solution like Wizest, where the employer could advertise or say, hey, dear employee, I care about you. I want you to have a nice financial wellness education, and I want to make sure that you don't have any financial issues in your life, because financial stress translate into less, I would say, productivity at work. So having these companies that will care about their employee on the financial side would help them to retain people, to have people more engaged at work, and also would allow them to have another argument that is not just a salary to get people on board. So this way we would stop this maybe craziness that we see in certain type of jobs where salaries are going nuts, at least here in the US. So this is a way for companies to take care of their employees, and I think there is a big opportunity, and we are about to announce in a few days some nice partnership to with the first pilot program with that, and so we are super excited about it.
But I can only use Wisest if I'm in the US, right? Or
Sorry?
I can only use Wisest when I'm in the US or wherever.
So for now, Wizest is only accessible from the US. Yes. So we are starting with that, and in a few months we will look at opening up to people from other markets. But yes, the version 1 of Wizest is in the US for the US.
Okay, because remember how I was saying about 401k, that being a US thing, not being an international thing, many people in the US not even understanding the benefits that can come with their 401k, the employer matching, all of that. You know, I could foresee companies looking at Wizest as not as governmentally protected as a 401k solution, but the next best thing in terms of not selling this to the company to sell it to their employees as a benefit of, here you have Robinhood with influencers, but rather here we have a program with Wizest that allows you to, you know, throw in part of your basically just drawing a story about the fact that people would be doing this anyway, right? So thus enticing people to perceive this not as you have access to a trading platform, but much rather you have access to something that could be mimic version of your retirement account, something like that.
Yeah, no, and I say like the 401k again is a great tool because it allows to save money for your retirement. But I would say the issue for many employees is that like the money is then stuck. So
Yeah.
so with Wizest could be like a complement where basically you can build like kind of an emergency fund. So if you have like unexpected expenses in your life, it's there in the Wizest account, but it's not just sitting without doing nothing. It's invested, and as it is invested through these experts that we have, you can also learn about investing and about what is happening with your money. So it's there is like multiple benefits, and then the companies can say also like, dear employee, if you stay until the end of the year with the company and you have good results, we can maybe match what you put into your Wizest accounts, and this will be like a way to provide an additional incentive and bonus to the employees. So there is like plenty of ways that it could be leveraged.
Definitely, especially for employees which are on already like long-term incentivization plans, like employee stock option plans, all of that. This is very much in parallel, aligned in the company, under the condition that you are in it for the long run. All right, so I wanted to ask you also this: what is your moat, so to say? Because we are mentioning companies left, right, and center, like Robinhood, Webull, eToro comes to mind when you mentioned the aspect of popular figures being followed in some way. How Wisest is different from those players, I understand, but how does Wisest use that competitive advantage to remain Wisest and not be outcompeted, basically?
Yeah, and good question. Like in terms of differentiation, and you're right. Like people now have in mind like names like Robinhood, eToro, etc. So how are we different? So the first aspect, like we are not a trading platform. Like all the other names that we have been mentioning so far are a trading platform where you go and you can buy a stock, sell a stock. In Wizest, no, in Wizest you come and you are like looking at a full strategy, a full portfolio, and that's what you do. It's like you invest through a portfolio and a strategy. It's not like a single trading stocks. Then like the second aspect, which is very different, is like in Wizest, the experts that we have are not like smart people that say, I'm smart, follow me. No, these experts are real experts that we vet them one by one. We make sure that they have like credentials, that they are real financial advisors or portfolio managers in their real life. And so that they would be able to do the job correctly, safely, for the end users, and will not be focused as most of the influencers that we see out there on performance, which is not the goal. Then the other differentiation point is that we mentioned it before, which is like the incentive structure, which align incentives on both sides, and then the last aspect is like the on the product is the goals. The for Wizest clients, the goal is not to make like a profit on like a meme stock in 2 months. It's not like about playing with GameStop or with like Bitcoin. The objective with Wizest is to have the people to start to build wealth for their future. It's a long-term plan. So it's not about taking risk and short-term gains. It's about building wealth for your future. So that's like that's the different points that make the difference of Wizest. And then again, like the on how we get to the clients, the idea is that in a few months Wizest would be available like through other institutions, not just like directly with our own like website. So that will help also people to get access to it, to Wizest, because if like an employer provide Wizest, generally you trust what your employer is providing you. If your bank or your credit union offer Wizest, normally you trust your bank and your credit union. So it's going to be easier to get people on board, and above all, like people that today are a little bit afraid of investing.
A little bit afraid of investing is a wonderful segue into our next question. That's not mine, but comes from the audience. Tomasz asks, we've seen that before. Many early investors don't understand that not all decisions bring profits. How you would manage this frustration among your customers, taking into account that they will be new to investments? Curious question. Are they new to investments? Do you know that, for example, the majority or a substantial amount of your users actually are doing this for the first time, or are they using a different tool for investing that they've done before as well? And I wanted to ask a follow-up. No, not a follow-up question, but yeah, basically you have to. It's time in the market, not timing the market. I understand that partially an answer to this question is what you've mentioned about de-incentivizing the experts from making risky portfolio propositions, but I'm guessing there's a broader answer to expectation management.
Yeah, and in terms of like the one of your the part of the questions that was about like who are the users that are coming to Wizest. So again, through the people that we had in the beta and the waitlist, what we see is like more or less like 1/3 are people that are already doing some active investment on their own, but like 2/3 are people that are not doing any active investment. So really like people that are new to that and that find a way with Wizest to have an answer to the question, where do I start? which is great, and which is like what we are looking for. Then in terms of like managing the frustration, obviously someone when is new to investing would say like why I am down. What is happening because I'm down? And because when people speak about investing, it's always about like gaining. But like what the way we will manage this is like again to do, we have a whole onboarding process with like a questionnaire about like risk tolerance and explaining what can happen, what cannot happen. So everything is explained through the user experience, and then there is a key role of the experts that we have the platform. So today, if we look at one of our portfolios, for example, where the market is maybe down 20% this year, but this portfolio is down only 3 or 4%. So it's also to explain to these people like, hey, look, by following this expert, instead of suffering, losing the 20% that the market lost, you have been able to basically to soften the problem and benefit from the experience of this expert that knows how to navigate these more challenging times, and the loss was more reduced. And then like the experts are the one themselves explaining like, hey, this week has been like a difficult week because of this and this and this, because there was like the Fed announcing the interest rate that were increasing, but then we will have like in November some earnings that will come and that will maybe like have some positive impact. So all this explanation basically to the idea is not to hide the truth, is not to say you're going to make money. The idea is to say like, hey, we're going to be transparent. It's going to be up and down, but we're going to help you through this process. And the most important thing is like, we don't want you, dear user, to overreact, because when you overreact, you always sell when it's low and buy when it's high. so that's the plan. It's not giving too much expectations about like you're going to win. No, it's about like helping people to manage their journey about investing through the good times and bad times.
I love the good-spirited nature of the users of Reddit Wall Street Bets that make jokes at their own expense when they say that the best strategy is to buy high and sell low, simply recognizing their own mistakes, but turning into a joke because what else are you gonna do? Perhaps if I was a user, I'd love to see this option of you are down, see why, just like you have those explanations, and you don't really have to explain why, but if you just give them a proportion of if you held those stocks for the past 10 years, this would be the amount of times it's gone down and it's seen down in the current moment. And here's actually the compounded growth between those, which would make me go, okay, so this is supposed to be happening. Okay.
Exactly. That's giving more perspective on again the bigger picture, long term. Yeah.
So I don't want to be the time police, but I don't know if you have something immediately after this. We have 1.5 minutes left, and I have one question left. I'm not even sure if I should ask you this question because I'm 99% sure I know the answer, but let's try. It's called the magic wand question. So if you could use this wand and cast the abracadabra spell into the world that gives every 12-year-old the gift of education on what is the question? We've heard emotional intelligence, we've heard financial education, we've heard leave the kids alone, let them just be kids. There's no right or wrong answer, there's just your answer, but prove me wrong if it's something else than financial education.
I think I may prove you wrong.
Let's go, 0.1%.
Because I would say like financial education, it's an easy one, given what we're doing. But I think that there is maybe something that are more basic and more fundamental that are needed today, and that makes easier than to learn about finance, about math, about like literature or whatever. So, but I think that what I would do would be to have something that would work on positive behaviors for like to build this nice foundation for kids to be able to learn multiple things later. And it's more about like learning how to collaborate, how to work in teams, how to learn from each other. And so it's related with, you mentioned before, like emotional intelligence, that's part of it. Humanities, that's part of it. So it's these different topics that makes, I would say, the behavior of someone ready to be and to be open to the rest of the world, and then to be able to absorb all the other, like I would say, knowledge that will come later: finance, math, I would say geography, science, literature, or whatever. So it's more like that what I think about, like for like the kids, like, hey, let's give them like this foundation where they can collaborate with everyone.
The gift of curiosity, basically.
Curiosity and collaboration with others, because at the end of the day, you always get better results when you work in a team than when you work alone. so competition is not always a solution.
But it's not part of the problem either. Anyway, we are running on the full hour. Axel, thank you so much for the knowledge and for a couple of those juicy announcements concerning what's going to be happening soon and over 1-2 years at Wizest. So everybody, please follow Wizest on LinkedIn or any other social media where you find them, and stay tuned. U.S. citizens, lucky ones, will get to use it first, and Europe coming soon, apparently. So Axel, thank you so much again, and see you around.
Perfect. Thank you very much for hosting me, and hope like I was able to answer all the questions. If anything, like I am reachable without any problem.
Absolutely. Go on Axel's LinkedIn. In the meantime, my pleasure for having the opportunity to run this today, and everybody, see you next Tuesday on the next Disruption Talks episode, or maybe even in Berlin during our Disruption Forum. More is going to be linked in the comments. Once again, thank you, Axel. Thank you, audience. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you, Filip.